I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus, I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus, I was evil. I never shook, baby.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode...
Well. Look who it is. Decided to show back up. I was really getting comfortable being by myself, but he's back.
Yeah. Well, get used to it because no. So I mostly just wanted to come back just for a few minutes, just to talk about Satanism. That's kind of the only thing I want to talk about, and then Ben, then you can have the floor and you can talk about all stupid, dumb bullshit that you usually talk about. Some nonsense.
That's what I do
best. So
next,
tell
us about your new friendship with the Dark Lord.
My adventures in Satanism and the goth crowd in LA continues. So last Saturday night, I went to it wasn't even so it was they were premiering. Okay, so there's some band, this weird experimental sort of black metal / sort of jazz fusion rock band.
Black metal and jazz?
Yeah.
Wait, when you say black metal, do you mean like Norwegian black metal?
Yeah, it's like that.
It's like the worst fucking music, dude.
Yeah, I have a high tolerance for shitty metal, and that's that goes well past my limitations.
Have you ever seen Lords of Chaos?
No, I still want to see that movie about Mayhem.
You should see it. Yeah. About is it Mayhem?
Yeah, that's the name of the band, Mayhem.
Yeah, they're it's a good movie. I like I always forget which.
Rory Culkin.
Rory, is it Rory Culkin?
I think it's Rory. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, it's a good movie. I mean, I like the story of it. There's a good podcast about them, but the music itself is dreadful.
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so imagine like Mayhem mixed with like I don't know Pink Floyd.
Just like, I can't do it.
I know. Well, what's funny is that like on the surface it sounds really bad. But when I was watching the concert film, and by the way, part of the reason why I went to this thing was because it was being held in an abandoned strip club in North Hollywood. I'm like, yeah, this sounds fun. This should be interesting.
How is there not business for a strip club though? Like, how's a strip club abandoned? I feel like that's recession proof.
Yeah, well, it's still everything looked like it was still functioning, like in pretty good condition, but it looked like parts of the strip club were being like torn down or maybe renovated or something. Like there were parts of the ceiling that were kind of exposed. So I wonder if they were just kind of like.
Was this a sanctioned concert?
I'm not sure. It was on Eventbrite.
It's pretty lame. Satan should not be on Eventbrite.
I know. I think I even tweeted out. It's like, yeah, there's pretty cool stuff in your neighborhood if you just type Satan into your into Eventbrite.
Real quick question, LA question for Joe. What's like the I guess I don't know, stereotype. What's like the stereotype for North Hollywood? Like what's that neighborhood? That's not the gay one, right? That's West Hollywood.
No, that's West Hollywood. Yeah. North Hollywood's interesting. It's pretty happening, but it's still really sleazy.
That's fun.
Yeah. So there's it's weird, man, because like and this is seen throughout Hollywood, where it's or LA in general. It's like you'll have like a really nice area that's well developed and it's all cool and hip and stylish, and then right next to it, like you have like a homeless encampment, just like just kind of like so. Yeah. So there's a lot of that. It's weird, like it's definitely more suburban. It's closer to the valley. So it's
did we go there?
I don't think so. I don't think we really went
where's like the Whiskey and Rainbow?
That's more West Hollywood.
That's more West Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah. But so I went to this thing, and so like the concert. So the name of the band is Circle of Sighs. Sighs and like a breathing a sigh of relief. So Circle of Sighs, and so at first. Like the first few songs, like, okay, this is actually kind of cool. It's sort of jazz fusion, kind of 70s rock, psychedelics. It's kind of cool. And then it would just go right into like, and then it would cut away from that and then go back into the sort of jazzy fusion rock. So parts of it were kind of cool, but then parts of it were just really gross and ugly. And it was but it was like the lead singer's birthday, and. So it was, and there was going to be a contortionist, but she ended up not going. So instead, they had like some weird space age theremin player.
Oh, I'm into space age stuff though. I'm kind of going through a space age phase right now.
I mean, the costume was kind of cool, but like it was, it was theremin, so it was just sort of like.
Was it sexy?
No, it was not sexy at all. But he was wearing like this weird, like reflective helmet, and he looked kind of Tronish.
Yeah. Were you like the only person there at first?
I was there, and they were still setting up, and I'm just like sitting there, just like drinking this watered down gin and tonic in a like crusty old strip club. Like it was not a very good experience overall. But there was free hummus. There was free chips and hummus. So
chips and hummus should not be at a Satan.
I know, at a satanic ritual.
Satanic ritual, but whatever.
Yeah, but so that was kind of like my little cultural experience for the week. So
yeah, I know you like to do that. I appreciate your once a week explore LA. That could be a segment. Joe does LA. What did you do this week?
I did one other kind of cool thing last night. I went to the Magic Castle, which is in Hollywood.
What's that?
So you would love it, Ben. So it's this.
Don't tell me what I love.
I'm gonna force you to love this. No, so we might have driven past it very briefly, but like it's in Hollywood, just north of like Hollywood Boulevard. It's this sort of like Victorian mansion thing that's been around for like 100 years, but since the 20s or 30s, I think it's been sort of like this vaudevillian. A lot of magicians played there. Have done a lot of comedians have done shows there. Orson Welles performed there. And so, but it's super cool. Like you have to dress up like it's a suit and tie thing. It's really expensive.
You wore a suit and tie?
I did. I know it's hard to imagine. I know.
I'd love to see a picture of that.
I might share it somewhere on social media for like half a second and just okay, guys. So when you pay, you have to go into the lobby, and then there's like the sliding bookcase, and there's like the statue of an owl, and you have to say "Open Sesame" to the owl, and the door opens up. It's all like very 1930s, 1940s.
All right, that is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's kind of a speakeasy thing, and they have like multiple bars, and they're magicians at every bar just doing tricks.
You had me at the secret bars with the magicians.
No, it's called the Magic Castle. Like, so I mean, it's all about magic. Like that's like the whole gimmick of the thing.
It's a lot,
but it's fun, like in a very like vaudevillian, like classy vibe. There are multiple, and then you go downstairs, and there's more bars and more performances, and then there's this piano. It's playing by itself, and like nobody's playing the piano, and you go up to it, and you just give any request, and it starts playing whatever you request.
How do you request it?
I think there's like another little statue. For some reason, there's this owl theme throughout. There's a statue of an owl.
Owls are pretty.
And then you
cool.
say, hey, so I went up, I was like, hey, can you play the Godfather theme? And then it plays it, and
you speak into it.
You speak into it, yeah, and then it just plays whatever. And some people, I had a Demi Lovato or some shit, and starts playing some shitty ass song. You just request any song, and then it'll play it for you.
Oh, all right, that's pretty cool. Should have taken me there.
I know it costs you. We would not be able to do this podcast. We would not be able to cover the cost of this podcast. No.
By the way, I wanted to ask: do you watch Stranger Things? You don't, do you?
I watched the first season, and I thought it was pretty good.
You didn't watch this season, though.
I have not.
Has anyone been comparing you to Eddie Munson?
No, but I know about he's playing Master of Puppets and the
hair. Yeah, I could definitely see people in LA being like Eddie Munson. I just thought, I'm like, oh, he's got like Eddie Munson hair, and you'd be like, I had this hair way before Eddie Munson, yo.
Yeah. Oh, so.
Oh, that's a compliment. He's kind of a fan favorite.
Oh, okay, good. I did watch the scene where he's playing Metallica, and so that was cool. That
was fun.
Yeah.
And then it's crazy, like a bunch of Zoomers are like finding Metallica because of that.
I know,
which is fine because that's how I find a lot of music too. And I tell my parents, they're like, "You didn't know who that was?" I'm like,
right. I remember that's what that movie Superbad did for Van Halen because they had Panama in that movie.
Really? I did that for Van Halen. I found was it the Four Tops in that? Bound out now.
Oh yeah.
Bound out. Yeah. What like when they're like walking to the bus in slow mo or something? Yeah, and I like still listen to them. I think it was the Four Tops. I don't know.
You should know this, Ben. You're an expert. You're the primary host of arts and culture.
It's true. No, I'm pretty sure it's the Four Tops.
Yeah. What about you, Ben? Have you done anything interesting?
Nope.
Cultural
It's all
or
boring.
creative?
Nope.
You went to Coney Island. There are a bunch of songs written about Coney Island. You know, that's cultural.
Yeah, I did go to Coney Island, which I love. I mean, it's fun. It was very fun. It's a fun day trip.
Yeah.
From where I stay in the city, and I live near the beach and the boardwalk, so like that part isn't that new to me. It's kind of a different boardwalk, but I do love Nathan's hot dogs. I had a couple. Probably could have slammed a bunch more. They go down pretty easy. Them glizzies. And
how big are they? Are they pretty like average size, or are they bigger than
pretty average size? Yeah.
I mean, it's a serious question. I'm not making a dick.
That's a serious question. I don't know. They're a fucking hot dog, man. Like,
I know, but I mean, are we talking Oscar Mayer size, or we're talking like
I didn't take out the tape measure and rule it.
Well, I mean, because I carry Oscar Mayer hot dogs with me everywhere I go, just for comparison.
Yeah, just fucking tomahawk them at people. Get away from me. I actually, to be honest, I feel like they're a little on the smaller size. But they're good.
Yeah,
they're classic. Very nostalgic taste for me. I used to go to Nathan's growing up.
Cool.
And with my mom, and it was very nostalgic taste. And like, you got to get them there. Like the frozen ones, it's like White Castle. Like, it's not the same.
Right.
It might scratch the itch, but it's not the same thing. Right. Oh no, there are no White Castles in California, are there?
Not that I know of, but we did have a Nathan's here, actually, very within walking distance of here, actually.
Yeah. Wait, so have you ever had White Castle?
No. Besides the frozen ones, no. Not
the frozen ones are fine, but when you come east, whenever that is, I know you like don't really go past Texas, but when you come east, I'll take you to a White Castle, because that's kind of like, I feel like that's our equivalent to In-N-Out Burger in terms of like reach, like just not in terms of taste. I didn't have an In-N-Out Burger when I was there. I forgot, but in terms of like, it's hard. It's not something that's available everywhere. I think
if I ever go to New Jersey, it will only be to ask for directions on how to get away from New Jersey. Like that's
all right. That's our motto. Literally, it's like, we don't like you either. Like that's I'm not even kidding. There are stores that sell big banners that have New Jersey. It's like, New Jersey, we don't like you either.
That's funny. Yeah. All right. Okay. Maybe I'll stop by for a couple. I'll stop by for a hot dog. For a
cheeseburger.
Or a cheeseburger, whatever. Yeah.
Bro, no, you got to get at least 4. I usually get my go-to when I used to eat so much crap, and I was like a twig, and I miss those days where I could just shovel garbage into my mouth. I would get 8 cheese sliders with 2 orders of chicken rings. I was a big chicken rings guy. Yeah. And I was like 150 pounds.
Jeez. Amazing. But now it just goes right to your thighs.
It does. It goes right. Yep. Goes right to my balls. Walking around slamming into things. Bastard, there's in the way. All right. So we got a lot of shit to talk about. I say shit not in like it's actual garbage, because it's the same kind of crap that we thrive off here. When I say, we are bottom feeders, so this is our trash.
Yeah.
That we survive off of on the show.
Chomper, shut up.
Hey, Chomper. Want to start with Quidditch?
So first of all, these fucking nerds. So
I can't take it seriously. They run around with a stick between their legs. Like, what are you doing?
Like I've always been pretty anti-bully, but like when I see this, it's like, no, these guys need to be bullied.
These people haven't been bullied enough. That's the thing. I'm anti-bully too, but like these kids, because if you're playing Quidditch, which we're going to get into now, it's not called that anymore. So I'll point in this article. You haven't been bullied enough. Exactly. If you can run around with a stick between your legs, like, why don't just get rid of that and just like play the game running around? The broom serves no function.
And it's not even it doesn't have bristles. It's just a stick. A professional stick.
True. There aren't even bristles. It's just a stick. It's like just a yard
stick. So anyway, because apparently, this is something that is not relegated simply to 8-year-olds. This is something that adults actually do, and they started, leagues, leagues around Quidditch based on the Harry Potter sport. So they've been doing this for a while, and they're upset with J.K. Rowling because she believes in biological fact, and so they thought that she's transphobic. She's we've covered some of her controversial statements over the last few months. So they're separating themselves from J.K. Rowling, even though she's the one who invented the sport. So they're changing the name Quidditch to Quadball.
Yeah, it kind of pisses me off. I mean, yeah, one is a dumb name. Like quad. I vaguely remember Quidditch. Like, what's quad about it? Like, what's four?
Yeah,
I don't know. Aren't there 3 rings? I think it's one to keep the queue.
Yeah,
I could be wrong about that, but J.K. Rowling is the ultimate Robespierre. We have Robespierre of the week. She's like Robespierre of the century.
Yeah.
In terms of being a big progressive crit, and then when she steps out of line, they cut her head off, and she's really gotten it bad. Like I thought that was going to be not very, it was going to move out of the news cycle, but she does seem to pop up all the time. To her credit, she kind of sticks to her guns. This CNN article, surprise surprise, is like very one-sided and biased, and not like paints her in the worst light possible, because she comes out and says like she's very pro-trans civil rights, and like she's anti-trans, she's anti certain trans in certain context, as in like that's much different than being like, I don't think trans people are real or they should exist. Like, that's a big difference, but you wouldn't get that from reading this article. My favorite, the first line, I know they don't mean it this way, but Quidditch, the real life sport, it's like they have to, like, I know what they're saying, like, they mean it like, we're talking about the real life sport here, not the thing from the movie, but like to us, it's no, this is actually a real life sport, everyone. Like that's how I read it.
Yeah, you're right about the one-sidedness of the article. Like, it actually says right here, the sport wanted to separate itself from Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling and her anti-transgender rhetoric. So it's not even like, oh, because of her comments on transgenderism. It's like they genuinely believe that what she said was anti-transgender rhetoric. So they're not hiding that. It's so funny to me that the people, the fans who have benefited so much from J.K. Rowling are doing everything they can, like distance themselves from her, but at the same time still hold on to all the stuff that she's produced. Like, it's like, yeah, we're not quitting the game. We're not changing the rules of the game. We're just changing the name. It's not J.K. Rowling. It's like,
as a writer who's like right below J.K. Rowling in terms of like popularity with my books, I think it's fuck off. I think it's like complete bullshit that like she created I'm not a big Harry Potter guy. I think it's fine. Like, okay, I've seen all the movies, but she created this world. She created all of this, and for you to like think that you get licensed to change the name of something because of her like personal beliefs, we still want to keep, like, it's such a cop out. Like, I don't know, that just bothers me so much. Like, she creates this whole fucking world, puts her like touches lives across the world, probably changes fiction, I would say. I think there's a handful of writers at least changes fantasy. And because you don't like her very reasonable stances on something, which I don't know them all for certain. I know it's about like same-sex spaces and stuff like that, but again, she's not a Marine Le Pen figure, which I don't even know Marine Le Pen's views on transgenderism, but for you to think that you get to like change these things for her personal views, it just really bothers me. I think it's really lame.
And like the actors who have become A-list celebrities because of Harry Potter, and it's like they're calling her out. It's like, you would not have a fucking career if it wasn't for her. Like,
I think a lot of that's just pressure because they're younger, and the trans activists, they're scary. Like, this is the most aggressive and the least reasonable, I think, area of the culture war. Are these things. Like, there is a perfect example is J.K. Rowling. It's like there's no room for, it doesn't matter that I've read her tweets against my will about pro-trans things. Like, she's not anti-trans at all, but if you don't agree with like one part of it, like, well, maybe I don't think trans women who transition very recently, only identity, don't take any estrogen, still have their penises, and who are impregnating women in a prison, maybe shouldn't be in that prison. I'm pretty sure that happened in New Jersey.
Yeah,
so
of course, yeah.
like, but that would be, and I could say everything else pro-trans, like everything else along the activist line. But if you step out of line there, then you're a TERF, you're a bigot, you're getting, you know, this kind of shit ran about CNN.
She got a bunch of heat for saying for criticizing the movement to like get rid of the term woman. Because, you know, like, oh, like a uterus haver, and
God forbid,
and you know, the front hole instead of the vagina. She's like, no, look, it's woman, we're women, and it's called a vagina. Like, don't erase us because you have to make room. Yeah. So she got shit on for that, which again seems like you know, it is a very reasonable thing.
It's reasonable. It's majoritarian, like the vast majority of people. And this is why CNN doesn't have any fucking ratings, and no one trusts them. And they're going down the tubes because of this kind of shit. It's like, you're like, this is not popular. Like J.K. Rowling is in the majority. Not that the majority is always right, but like they're in the vast majority. The vast majority of women, I would probably even say the vast majority of trans people don't want to get rid of the term women. Yeah. Like, so they're just they're placating to such a tiny vocal minority.
I mean, you know, and it's so funny too, where it's like, you know, say you have a man who identifies as a woman, so you know, he transitions into she, but then when she becomes a trans woman, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna live my life as a woman, but but the term woman is transphobic now. So I was like, well then what the fuck did I transition to? Sort of just like,
I just got here.
I just got. But
that's why I don't think that's really that. I don't know. I don't even want to. I mean, I'll talk about anything, but this to me is this has been so like, if you can't have a conversation about it with people who disagree, then it's like, what's the point? Exactly. You know. So I think a lot of that was lost. If you wanted, this kind of could be. Is there anything else you want to say about this? That's really it. It's a bunch of nerds running around with a stick between their legs, changing a game that doesn't make it any less gay. Like, it's the same thing. Yeah. Like,
so I think they should just rebrand as the Quidditch bitches or something. Like, it's
I don't know. I'm surprised. I thought this was going to be like a few years in the early 2010s or something, or the 2000s, still going on now. I can't believe college kids are still doing this.
Yeah.
All
right. So move on to the next piece of mass stupidity.
Which one do you want to do?
Let's do the Dave Chappelle one. This is pretty fresh. It was funny. Like earlier in the week, when you texted me, hey, so do we got any topics to talk about? And I sent you one, and then I was like, yeah, let me do a quick search. And I just kept finding shit, and then I sent you an email, and I sent a follow-up email, and I was like, oh, here's another one, So this is a fire hose of stupidity this week. So Dave Chappelle, who's going to be doing a show in Minnesota at the venue was called the First Avenue, but they canceled at the last second. It seems like it seems like the day of, I think, or the day before.
Just hours ahead.
Yeah,
hours. Which that should be like fucking a breach of contract. Like,
yeah, they should get punished for something. You know, they should. And so they posted on social media a statement about it, which I can read here quickly. The Dave Chappelle show tonight at First Avenue has been canceled and is moving to the Varsity Theater. So yeah, it happened the day of. To staff, artists, and our community, we hear you and we are sorry. We know we must hold ourselves to the highest standards, and we know we let you down. We are not just a black box with people in it, and we understand that First Avenue is not just a room, but meaningful beyond our walls. The First Avenue team and you have worked hard to make our venues the safest spaces in the country, and we will continue with that mission. We believe in diverse voices and the freedom of artistic expression, but in honoring that, we lost sight of the impact this would have. We knew that there are some who will not agree with this decision, and you are welcome to send feedback. We didn't understand the consequences of freedom of speech.
I wanted to read one of my professors, one of my college professors response was actually pretty funny.
Okay, yeah.
So shout out Dr. Marks. This was, we believe in diversity of voices and freedom of artistic expression. At the same time, we don't believe in diversity of voices and freedom of artistic expression. We're sorry and also confused.
That's great.
He's good. I like him a lot. I still talk to him on we still tweet each other on Twitter, of course. And he has a book out I want to read soon. That's like he's like definitely a liberal, but like kind of like a classical liberal professor. And I think he wrote a book that's like, I forget what it is. It's on my list. Something about like the conservative argument for liberalism or something like that. I'm not doing justice, but that was very funny.
Yeah,
we're also confused.
But seriously though, it's like we believe in diverse voices and the freedom of artistic expression, but in honoring them, we lost sight of the impact this would have. It's like that's one of the that just comes with freedom of speech and freedom of expression. It's like like we all have the same freedom to express ourselves, but with that comes the risk of being offended. Like, sorry.
It's the epitome of what I always say. It's like, no, you don't. They believe in the most superficial diversity.
Right.
I mean, how dare they cancel the show of a black man? But it's because it's not about diversity. It's about diversity of skin color and gender and religion and stuff like that. But it's very much about rigid ideology.
Yes,
which Dave Chappelle does not fall under somehow. Like,
right.
I mean, he's like, again, it's like the one thing that he's fallen out of line, but at least he's stuck to it. Like, I don't think he's changed anything.
Not that I know of.
Right.
And here's the thing, he's still a very progressive guy. Like he's never been a right-wing person as far as I know. Like,
no, not at all. And he also is a fucking comedian and makes fun of all different types of races and genders and taboos. And that's what comedians do. And right now, the trans activists are doing themselves such a disfavor by a disservice, I should say, by creating this sacred cow that comedians are going to go after. If you say you can't make fun of something, people are going to chomp at the bit to go after it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, a comedian worth their salt is going to break the rules and be like, oh, you said don't make fun of this? Okay, I'm going to do a whole set on this thing. Then.
Yeah, because you know who doesn't do that? Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
The usual like boring fucking. I think there are some exceptions. I find Conan actually to be hilarious. I was actually going to put out a poll. Yeah, I was going to put out a poll. It's like, who's your favorite like mainstream media personality, whatever you want to say. Like mine's definitely Conan. Conan's funny.
I love Conan O'Brien. He's
Me
so
too.
Great.
Yeah. Do you ever listen to his podcast?
I've listened to clips of it.
It's very funny, and it's also like he swears on it, which he can't do on his late night show. But even in I remember even in college, my roommate and I, like my friend and I, we would like lay in bed on a weekday and just like watch Conan like laugh and I don't know. I think Conan holds up, but a lot of these other guys or girls are just like fucking boring.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Trump's small hands. How many times are you gonna do that joke? Or or a lot of it's like beyond boring now. It's like cringy. It's just propaganda.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm glad that Dave Chappelle doesn't seem to be. I mean, if anything, like I think sticking to his guns is helping him long term. Like. It's like it endure a little bit of a blowback now, but you'll like his. I hate this phrase because it's overused now, but history will be he's on the right side of history. I think I know.
I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like with you saying that, I think a lot of people. He is in the privileged position where he's rich and famous, right?
Yeah.
So he can stick to his guns. I understand other struggling, whether it's comedians or writers or whatever it is, who unfortunately, if you want to quote unquote make it, you do have to toe a party line sometimes. I think that sucks and you shouldn't. Yeah. But if that's like, if your goal is to be famous, like fine. I would rather have my principles, and sometimes those principles will be very popular with the coterie of elites, and sometimes they won't be at all. Probably more will not be, but
Yeah.
at least I would rather have that. And,
Yeah.
you know, like you're still going to be successful probably. And you're
Yeah.
going to find, and now it's easier than ever to find an audience. I think a lot of these people, and that's why the establishment is so nervous, because people, it used to be there are a handful of sitcom spots, handful of late night show spots. You went on, you got your, you know, your 10, 15-minute interview, you got your sitcom show, or then there were maybe like one special HBO special or Comedy Central special, and that was it. And now you can put things on YouTube. I know I've listened to a lot of Andrew Schultz, kind of doing the podcast circuit. Are you aware with what he did?
Yeah, he released his special on YouTube, or he released it, you know, something like that, right?
Yeah. Was it YouTube? Yeah, it was YouTube. He's kind of like a YouTube evangelist, which kind of surprises me in a way, because I mean, YouTube will censor you too. I mean, if I'm not probably helping us by I tell YouTube to fuck off like every episode. It's probably not helping anything. But sorry about that. But, he believes that like YouTube is the way of the future, and I've found it unfortunate to hear that it was Netflix who rightly had stood up for Dave Chappelle during that whole fiasco.
Yes.
With Vito, throwback. Our episode with Vito Gesualdi. He was the guy who was kind of he had his like limelight for a day, right? In terms of like mass popularity. He was at the protest at Netflix as a quote unquote counter protester, while just being a comedian. Anyway, I was unfortunate to hear that for Andrew Schultz's case that Netflix had excised a couple. I don't know if he used that word right, but had taken out a few jokes, a few bits that he was like, no, you're not taking out anything. So he pulled it, and he had to then get back his contract and his rights, which to me is just always so fucking crazy. Like as an artist, you have to buy your rights back and shit. I can't stand that. But I hope he did well. I have to check. I didn't buy it, so I didn't help there at all. I forgot. But he seems like a really funny guy, and he's I bring him up more to talk about the future of all of this, of art, right? And a lot of it is now finding your audience. There's so many different platforms. You don't need the gatekeepers anymore as much, not nearly as much. And I think it's a beautiful thing. So I do think that's good. That's why I think there's so much of this pushback and attempts to silence and censor from the establishment. Yeah,
no, absolutely, man. You know, things are still being it's still a very stupid culture we're living in, but you know, like the pushback is starting to come from more mainstream normies now, which I like. So that gives
what do you mean by that?
I just mean, like, you know, before, you know, up until like, you know, a year or so ago, it seemed like so much of the culture war was taking place just like, you know, online. But now, you know, when I talk to my parents, for example, you know, like whenever I brought up some crazy controversy, they never heard of it. But now, if I talk to them, like, you know, what's this about? Like, you know, drag queen stripper story hour for kids. Like, what's like now they're starting to hear about it. So it's like, oh, hey, like, you know, like people are showing up to school board meetings now. And, so you know, that's cool.
I think they overplayed their hand, and a lot of it. And then you woke up and you don't want to fuck with people's kids. Like that's a fine line that people are like, wait a minute, you're doing what while I'm at work with my children? Like you're showing them what, they're reading what, and definitely to that. And then and sometimes that's all it takes. It's not like, oh, okay, then after I protest or get angry, you know, show up to the school board about this one issue, I just go back to what I'm doing. Like, no, you've awoken them. Now they pay attention to everything, and we talk about I talk about my kind of red pilling, and then that totally changed how I view the media. It wasn't immediate. It started with the Nick Sandeman case, the Covington Catholic kids, and how that was falsely reported, and just like the lack of integrity there. And that made me go, oh, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't listen to everything CNN says. And then there was the COVID regime and the racism is the real virus, and that red pilled a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're never the same after that. So you know,
Right.
it's not like, oh, okay, no, we'll stop with the drag story hour. Go back to your job. It's like no. Now I'm paying attention, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Like now I'm following all of it.
Yeah. I think my first big red pill moment was when that guy got fired from Google. You know, his so-called like anti-diversity memo, but it was not like, it was actually very pro-diversity. What was his name?
Which one was that?
This is like 2018, I think. I can't remember his name. He was on Joe Rogan. Well, of course he was on Joe Rogan. But where he's explaining why there are so few women working at Google, and in order to do that.
Wait, is he the one who said like it's not because of discrimination? It's because there are less women who go into tech?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like it's a statistics thing, which is true, which is the whole bullshit of the gender pay gap. Like, no, the gender pay gap isn't nearly what people think it is. Like, and I was one of those purveyors of like, this is bullshit. Like, women get paid 79 cents on the dollar to men at that. Like, and I was thinking the way that they put forth the argument is if there's a male attorney and a female attorney, or a male, accountant, female accountant, like the female gets 79 cents to the male's dollar. Like, no, that's not the calculation at all. The calculation is that more men go into these paying jobs and women into these sorts of paying jobs. And that's where you get on average that women make a lot less. And this has been debunked time and again, but our own fucking government gives out, I would say I'll give them credit. I shouldn't, but the misinformation, and then they're the ones who try and bring a disinformation governance board, right? It's like you guys are putting out the same kind of shit.
Right.
And then it's not like it's not victimless. Like, people get mad about that, rightfully so, because they think what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not true.
Yeah. That was the thing that really, because I ended up reading the memo, and like I know this is years ago, but I read the memo. I was like, why are people like upset about this thing? And there was a whole section where he's talking about how to increase diversity at Google, and he's talking about all these practices to implement in the workforce to make more attractive women. And so I'm like, what's wrong with this thing? He's saying there are very few women in Google, and here's why, and here's how we can solve that problem. Not that it's actually a problem. It's like there are very few women in construction. There are very few men in the fashion industry, but nobody complains about that. But I just remember, working in Silicon Valley at the time, and nobody else seemed bothered by it. They all just kind of bought the idea that he was a rabid sexist, and it's a good thing Google fired him. I was like,
I think we need more trans Pacific Islander center power forwards in the NBA. It's not diverse enough. We need more Filipino two spirits in the NHL. Yeah,
we got to decolonize everything.
Let's bring it. All right, good. Because it's getting decolonized, Joe. Ballet is Leeds Conservatoire, which is like the gay way to pronounce conservatory.
Conservatoire.
Yeah, sorry, my cat is. Can you chill? Come here.
No,
you can
fire it up, man.
You can start because I'm dealing with this guy. Stop.
Okay, so the Northern School of Contemporary Dance at Leeds has dropped ballet from their auditions because they believe that it is it's an elitist art form, and this is that quote from the head of the undergraduate studies at the Conservatoire, Francesca McCarthy. She's the one who says that ballet is an elitist art form. And so here's some examples here. Ballet's traditional terminology uses ballerina for women and danseur for men, with female dancers focusing on point work and lifts and leaps for men. Ms. McCarthy said that the ballet's terminology has strongly gendered roots and was problematic in relation to inclusion of non-binary and trans dancers.
I all these like trans dancers in the Russian ballet in like the 1800s. But they didn't put in here is they're actually replacing it with twerking is going to be on the it's going to be on what is this the admissions process. Yeah.
Because men can twerk too. So,
That's right.
like looking at these quotes, it's just such a mess of just woke buzzwords.
It's
So
crit salad.
yeah,
It's
exactly. Crit salad. Yeah, it's a good way to describe it.
Decolonize. It's one of my favorite ones. It's like you're in your own country. Like, what do you mean decolonize? Like,
right, exactly.
This isn't fucking Nigeria. like this isn't Leeds. It's like pasty ass Northern England Leeds. Like I have family there. Like,
yeah. Like here's a great example of the crit salad. There are issues relating to body, money, language, and movement vocabulary. And she said that class costs impact students who cannot afford to learn the dance. Adding ballet is built around particular white European ideas and body shapes, which could put off dancers who do not fit this aesthetic ideal. Yeah, this is absolutely crit salad.
So I don't know. First of all, it's like what size are like Asians? Like, do they not have? Yeah. It's like the same thing, right? Like women tend to be more slender, men larger. Like I don't,
right?
I don't really get it. Like the European part. Where does ballet come from? France, I'm assuming, right?
I guess so.
I know the Russian ballet is really popular, but I know Russia was really influenced by Western Europe during that time. And they kind of became obsessed with all things like French and Dutch and shit.
Yeah.
I love how and how much wait, what kind of school is this? Is this like I don't know. They do school weird over there. And when I say weird, just different than what we do. And
well, they're all colonial and stuff over there. So they have colonial tuition and
prices. So how about this? How about you give all the fucking like jewels back to India and shit, you bastards? Like I remember about like real decolonizing. Like give all the art back, give the Elgin marbles back to Greece, and give all this shit back to Kenya and India, and then we'll talk about decolonizing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more crit salad here.
Lovely.
There was where was the head of the undergraduate studies, who credits her wonderful wife and 2 adopted sons for becoming more aware of challenges experienced by young people today, added that the NSCD is encouraging staff to use gender-neutral words such as dancers, people, folk, everyone, and everybody. They are also encouraged to use they instead of he and she, to not make assumptions about students' identities. So, if you make the assumptions about a student's identity, you're probably going to be right like 99.999% of the time.
People are the fucking worst.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So let me see here. I'm just looking up how old, like, I don't know if this is college or like high school kids and are in real English. But I don't know. I can't tell. God, we should invade the UK.
We're probably doing like 2 days.
Yeah, really.
I mean, considering how soft they're coming over there.
They're not going to put up a fight.
It's an old lady in a castle. We can take her. I think you and I can take her on.
Yeah. The Queen. I never got the royal family shit.
No.
I did a semester in London, and I love it. It's a great city. And I just never. And I like all these Americans were like obsessed with the royal family. I'm like, you guys care about this stuff? I like old royal family stuff where they had like power, real power.
Yeah.
Henry VIII and all those homies, but like I don't give a shit about these inbreds like talking, just making comments and having their big castles and shit.
Yeah.
I'm very French Revolution when it comes to that kind of stuff, but
lecturing us on democracy and shit.
Well, wasn't that Harry who came here? Like, get out, dude. Like, go deal with your own country.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have your own issues. I don't want to. And Harry was my favorite too. He's like the one I liked.
Yeah.
Dude, like party and stuff.
Yeah.
Now he's just pussy whipped by
Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
That's it. Ballet is racist. Is the takeaway from that.
Yeah.
All right. What's this last one? Oh, the Hollywood Reporter. This one's really long and stupid.
This is a long article, but it was there. There are some funny things in there.
All right, go ahead.
So this is an article in the Hollywood Reporter. It's called "Hollywood's Chief Diversity Offers Tell All." After George Floyd's killing by police in May 2020, demands on D&I leaders exploded with burnout and a critical balancing act between CEOs and employees constantly at hand, but also signs of progress.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Did they already change DEI to DCDOs or D and I?
I guess so.
'Cause
this goes back and forth.
Right. But like, I think the point I'm trying, right. So hold on here. Chief Diversity Officer, C, like the top, like if I'm looking at my tab, it says DEI in Hollywood, CDOs, but like all throughout this, it's CDO, or because CDO is like a specific position, or C and I. And again, this just goes back to us talking to, I think, George about this. I know we've talked about it. It's like, you got to stick for your own sake, crits. You got to stick to the same terms. Like, you keep changing shit and people can't keep up. And it's all just to be shibboleth for like, are you current enough? Like, are you on our side? If you're using homeless, well, no, you're not with us anymore. Now it's unhoused. And they just keep doing this. So I don't know. I was just wondering if
that reminds me real quick. I'm sure that this is like from a joke account on Twitter, but so somebody posted a picture of their house that had a rainbow painted on it, and like, showing my support for the LGBTQ community, whatever. So apparently that part was real, but somebody quote tweeted that from some weird queer organization, and they're like, we really appreciate the gesture, but can you change it to reflect the current flag?
Right.
Because
the flag's the best part. The flag is the best example. How many stripes they're coming out with, like with binoculars or like a what's it called? Magnifying glass. Like, how many lines? They have all the lines on it. I love the fake one. Have you seen the fake one?
I don't think so. I've seen a bunch of them.
Katie Herzog has it up. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah, I love her. Yeah,
she has it up. It's like Hezbollah and like corporate, like Mercedes, Hezbollah, like all these, like, it's just like the ultimate ultimate pride flag.
Did she tweet this out recently?
She talks about it, and she literally has it on. She's like, I have it on my house right now.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. No,
describe it.
It's got a whole bunch of logos. So like before it was just stripes, but now it's got triangles. But hers has like a whole bunch of triangles. Yeah. And so it's got like the McDonald's logo, the Apple logo, the Mickey Mouse logo, G&E, Shell, Coca-Cola. It's got a whole bunch, and then it's got like the anti-fascist fist.
Yeah, it's like
Black Lives Matter.
I love that. I love the Hezbollah one. The Hezbollah one's like the yellow and green.
And it's like a color wheel, and it's like each slot has like a different. Oh, it's like the Virgo, like the astrology signs.
Astrology signs from it too. Yeah, it's really good.
It looks like an iron eagle.
I was thinking when I was. When you were, because you've gotten really into Satanism recently, I wanted to get one that's like, in this house we believe, but then it's crossed out. It says, in this house we don't believe. Like a big Satan head on it.
Oh man, Satanism, they're stupid.
Satan is a friend for you and me and Joe.
Well, I should probably specify that the reason why I've been getting into like this weird Satan and goth stuff is for research for a horror script that I'm writing.
Yeah, research.
Yeah, no, because it deals with the cult. So I just like going like weird groups of people and seeing like just them like unify around some stupid belief.
Yeah, you'll fit right in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so that's it's been pretty educational. It's been
that's good.
For me. Yeah,
I'm gonna blow up your spot. I'm gonna say this guy's a narc. This guy's a sure enough. He doesn't believe. He's not believing. What if I always wondered if like Satan came to the earth? He's like, it's actually pronounced Satan.
So there's a spot. I think it's like in Iceland that is supposedly the spot where Satan landed when he was kicked out of heaven, and it's got like the it's very infamous for whatever reason. There's supposed to be a lot of supernatural stuff happening there. I forgot what it's called, but
that's pretty metal.
Yeah, I was gonna say So the DEI thing in Hollywood. Oh my god!
It's so I don't know.
So for starters, they only mentioned very briefly about the supposed benefits of increased diversity in the workplace. And it's just like, oh, increased returns and increased productivity. I don't see how just hiring more skin colors will do that.
I love this sentence. Honestly, like this isn't satire, right? Like this is real.
Yeah, it's real.
I'm going to read a sentence for you right now.
Yeah.
We have the ability to inform social and political narratives with a single piece of content. And that is a lot of power, says English, who began her career at Lockheed Martin. Like, what the fuck? Why am I'm doing fucking crazy pills here? I don't know. Just, man, the fucking, the priorities just really devolved in the past few years.
Yeah, and like just the complete lack of self-awareness from these people. So, for example, I just want to read this section here. So DEI, so I guess diversity and inclusion, DEI fatigue is real, say the CEOs, for individuals, organizations, and the general public. People are tired of being told what they've done is not enough. Then you add the stress of the pandemic, the possible recession. There's a lot of different stressful points that the average person is dealing with. So something has to be moved off your mental plate. D&I would be the first thing, says Martin. The challenge is finding a way to keep moving forward, but not feel like you're force feeding an agenda. And it's like, I mean, it's like, yeah, you got part of this right. People are tired of being told what they've done is not enough.
Out loud, like there's way more important shit to deal with.
Yeah,
like it doesn't mean incidents aren't going to happen, and then you deal with those incidents and give people due process and a chance to reconcile, or be reasonable, look at intent, but that doesn't give people six-figure salaries at Lockheed Martin to tell everyone how racist they are.
Yeah. And so there's a section in the article here where they're talking about the need to have CDOs report directly to the CEO of the company, because before they were just kind of relegated to HR, but now it's like, no, like I want to be like right there, right next to the top executives of the company. It's so funny that these people claim to be fighting the power, but they're just accruing it.
Oh yeah, no, these people are the one. Like this is power. They're not
exactly
fighting power.
They're
in cahoots with power.
Exactly. They mention this article mentions truth to power twice in this article, like completely unironically. I'm so sick of that phrase. That's another one of the stupid phrases I'm so tired of.
What's the phrase? I'm sorry.
Truth to power. Truth to power. I found sometimes privately speaking, truth to power could be more effective because you also need to have the trust of your bosses. And if they feel you are an external advocate, that's not going to be a winning strategy in the long run. So I want to be right there, right next to the CEO. I want to be basically VP and eventually CEO. Here's the second instance of truth to power. There's a freedom that comes when you understand that you've lived half your career and you can say, I'm aligned to my values first, and I'm okay speaking truth to power when they don't align with where we're going. These people think that they're changing the world by hiring on the basis of race and gender and sexuality.
Yeah, this has got it all, and these are just like all losing. Like there is no such thing as the LGBTQ plus community. Like that doesn't exist. Like people, all of those different, that acronym, like those people all have different interests and live in all different areas and have different political views. Like to lump them all together is the opposite of what I thought you're supposed to do with groups, like to try and not lump them together as much as possible and let people have diverse voices and opinions. And Katie Herzog, I'd bring up twice in the same episode. She says the only thing that the LGBT have in common is the LG and the T all hate the B's. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy that these massive companies in Hollywood are putting so much money into diversity and inclusion departments, and the people who are in charge of these departments are making six figures, probably in the millions, most likely too, for a lot of these people. It's like instead of setting up scholarships or donating that money to arts organizations or struggling schools, like no, we need to hire.
I know. It's like, could this money not go somewhere any better? And I want to, if you scroll to the bottom, the expert panel.
I was just about to bring that up.
This is supposed to be diversity officers, right? diversity.
Yeah.
All 12 out of the 13 are black people.
Yes.
Like one, I don't know what he is. I think he's probably Native American. From the name, like Craig Robinson, and then the way I would guess Native American, because I don't think they put a white guy on there because he looks kind of whitish, but he doesn't have a Spanish or Portuguese name. So I don't know. Yeah. But they're all like, what about diversity? Like that's right. I feel like so often diversity gets captioned like not white, but it could be all one other thing. It could be like all black or all Asian or all like, no, it's fucking supposed to be diverse mix.
Yeah. And these are all huge companies that they're part of. It says like the Recording Academy, Lionsgate, AMPAS, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. They're the ones
she's the one who worked for fucking Lockheed Martin. Yeah,
that's right. The MPA, the Motion Picture Association of America. She's this one's the global DEI at Amazon Studios, Prime Video, and IMDb. Holy shit. The CAA is a union, I think. Sony Pictures, Netflix. Yeah, I mean, these are NBC, Universal,
Paramount, Broadway. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
these are like the last groups that should need any sort of officer to do this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, these are some of the most like liberal progressive spaces there are.
Right.
So, but hey, they want to throw their money away. Fine. I mean, a lot of this shit isn't working. I think some of them have like Netflix is getting rid of a lot of its kind of woke shit that no one
anti-racist
watches.
Baby.
What about anti-racist?
That was gonna be a cartoon that was based on Ibram X. Kendi's book. That one got axed, luckily.
So like this stuff's not working, guys. Like just put good shit out there. That was happening for years from diverse artists, from diverse writers, from diverse like. I understand if you're going to have a show about like a black family in Baltimore or in the suburbs of New Jersey, that you don't want a writer's room with 10 white men. Like, I get that. I think anyone would get that.
Sure.
Right? So, like, that's just common sense, though. You don't need a diversity officer to tell you that. And guess what? If 10 white men do write a show about a black family in Baltimore and like impoverished black family in Baltimore, it'll probably be a pretty bad show. Or maybe it's a fantastic show. It's gonna have black actors in it, and it's gonna bring whatever the story is. Let's say awareness or tourism or whatever it is to this area. So still have net benefits, but fine. I do get that.
Sure.
But again, that's just like fucking common sense.
Yeah. I mean, as we've kind of talked about before, it's like it's one thing when diversity and inclusion happens organically. It's like that's great, cool. Like, if the industry starts to change because more people from different backgrounds start coming in, cool, great. Yeah. But this is being forced basically at gunpoint, but like it's
but it doesn't have to be like, that's why I always fall back on. It's what if a university or a company just said no?
Right.
Like, what if they just said like, no, we're good. Like, okay, university, there's some crazy protest, right? Yeah. And the dean, the president, they just said no. You have your right to protest. If you don't go to class, you're gonna, get whatever their process is, or maybe like if you commit a crime, you will be arrested, just like anyone else.
Yeah.
Like that's it. That's all it takes.
Right.
It's because you give and give and give that people are gonna take advantage of it. It's never gonna be enough until they're sitting in your seat. Right. It's all about power. It's all about money and power. So just say no. I'm going to do Nancy Reagan. Just say no. That's the campaign that we're going to have.
Are you familiar with Chloe Valdry?
Oh, yeah. Love Chloe Valdry. Big fan.
She's great.
I think if you're going to go, if you do have to, and I have said that, if you're going to go DEI, to have someone like her.
Yeah, her theory of enchantment. So when she was on Jordan Peterson's show, his podcast, she brought up how a lot of times when companies call her, it's to fix their broken diversity and inclusion.
She's not the first call.
Exactly. Yeah.
They brought someone else in. I think you've told me I should listen to that episode. I don't listen to Jordan Peterson as in like his show. I usually hear him through other shows.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Jordan Peterson. I think he's good with some stuff. I don't really. Yeah. Sometimes he gets a little too academic, and I think he can sometimes be too stuck in his ways.
Yeah. Especially recently, I feel like he's kind of getting he's kind of going off the deep end a little bit.
Yeah, I listened to him on I think Kyle Kalinski's show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Yeah.
Him and Kyle Kalinski had a
thing about the trans. Yeah, they were talking about the trans.
Well, yeah, they're trying to talk about a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Jordan Peterson's a net benefit, definitely. Like, I think he does a lot of good, but I could also see where he's like, he doesn't. There's no room here for growth or learning. It's more like, well, this is what he thinks.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Which I appreciate because that's how I am.
Yeah. All right, man. Anything else that we should talk about?
Oh, I did want to say, because I did put in my name, I didn't realize that we both have a love of dictators.
Oh yeah,
we found that out on Afternoon Tonic.
Yeah.
You're a big Duarte guy. Is it Duarte or Duterte?
Duterte, I believe. Yeah.
Duterte. You're a big Duterte guy.
I love that guy. He's great.
I know you. I know you love him. I think Anthony and I might read some Mussolini on one of the episodes. So
yeah,
I don't know if you want to set that one out.
But
I'm gonna connect with my fascist roots.
Yeah,
my Italian fascist roots.
No, that'd be fun.
I told you I'm taking over the show.
Yeah, well, we're not. That'll be one episode that we do not promote.
Well, all right. just tell Ben we hit record. We're not actually recording. It's like Creed. It's like Creed thoughts in the office. I just set up a Word document.
Oh man. All right, cool. Well,
well, that's it. I had my limit with you today.
Yeah, I think I've had it with you too, Ben. But I do hope you stay reckless, though.
All right, you can stay reckless too, I guess.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Keep